Hello everyone, welcome to BrickVault. In this video, we are revisiting an amazing model from the prequel trilogy. This is the AAT, standing for Armored Assault Tank. This was one of the most effective in the business with a diverse range of firepower. It's got heavy armor and the ability to navigate difficult terrain. The repulsor lift vehicle remained an essential staple for the Separatist ground forces throughout all of the Clone Wars. And I did say revisiting because 3 years ago, the Lego builder Lewis, who created the original version of this custom AAT, has now retackled and nearly completely redesigned this model from the ground up. The details have been improved, it's marginally stronger, and the design is no longer reliant on some now pretty rare pieces. More and more, we've been enjoying the evolution of custom designs over the years, and I'm so grateful that I get to build amazing creations from guys like Lewis. Before I get any further into the details of this model or these two models, first I'd like to say that if you wanted to build either of these creations, the instructions can be found at our web store, www.brickvault.toys. Included with each purchase are the PDF step-by-step building guides, a digital parts list for quickly uploading and ordering all the pieces you'll need. All of our models are built in real life and tested for strength. The instructions are also tested, so they're easy to follow along. And Lewis is a solid builder and just one great example of the talented people that we get to partner with here in the studio. Buying instructions is an awesome way to help us as well as the top tier creators like Lewis, who really cares about just making great Lego models. All right, let's focus on back now to the minifig scale AATs. In order to center in on the details and proportions a bit better, let's focus on just one model initially. The Trade Federation has always been kind of my bread and butter for the AAT look, so let's go for the tan one. And when I say this tank has a diverse range of firepower, I really do mean it with this vehicle. You've of course got the primary laser cannon attached to the swiveling head. There is a solid range of motion here, and I also enjoy the look of those sloped wedge pieces around the base of the cannon. On either side are the arms. The largest bar sticking out represents the swiveling secondary cannons, while the other bits that stick out are rangefinders for the weapons. On top of the base, there are two screwdrivers that represent some short-range blasters, and then lastly, the launch tubes at the bottom are supposed to be 3 different types of specialized munitions fire. The most inward are the high explosive bunker buster shells. Then the middle tube on either side is meant for armor piercing purposes, and the outermost launch tube fires general purpose high energy rounds. You can imagine why this vehicle is basically present on every single ground engagement from the Separatist side. It could basically do anything you wanted it to, and I really enjoy the way Lewis tackled this part of the model. The common way to tackle this area before was to use the more rare printed part from an older set, but now there exists a wedge piece with the right and left stud notches cut out, so he was able to use this along with some other techniques, and Brick built this area of detailing instead. I think any model enjoys when their creation doesn't have to rely on specialized printed pieces, but there's also something to be said when the openings actually exist here on the model, and that front curve of the AAT tapers off at a sharper angle here when it gets right to the edge, and this too gets captured extremely well with the same building approach. It's all done with a properly placed flexi tube at the bottom, and this is the first of 3 major areas of the model that I feel really excelled the most with new building techniques. So the second area that I found most interesting is this series of round intersections in the front and center of the base. This is and always will be one of the most strange and difficult parts of the AAT model for anyone to tackle in Lego bricks. It's got those complex bending subtle curves, and Lewis just figured it out here. The most important correct shape I think that he got is the gradual thinning of the sides that leads to the front of the build, and the fact that it matches just right with the top assembly with very minimal gaps. Not only is this approach extremely clean, but it also captures the curve of the AAT a little bit more accurately. Now moving on up, I think the last bit worth really pointing out as a true show of shaping mastery is with the head, or the top turret. From its widest point, the head never stops curving inwards, where it gets sharper and sharper on the curve around, like an oval sort of just cut in half. The angle of that line from the top-down view isn't broken down, and it serves as an excellent foundation for the rest of the turret head shape. Also, the head sinks down a bit lower into the body, and the proportions look much better, especially when caught on the side view. But if you want to start with some comparisons from old to new, I think it's worth now switching over to the Separatist model, the blue and gray. We've got the original build of Lewis's from 3 years ago, as well as the latest version of the AAT set number 75283 from the year 2020. First, with the customs. The body is a couple of centimeters shorter. It gives a lower center of gravity, and that allows the turret mount to extend a little bit further back. The arms are pushed forward, which is a bit more accurate, and that also allows for a different, much stronger connection for the angled power converters on either side. I actually almost forgot to show you the function of the back hatch. It comes down to reveal the interior with space for a single droid fig. It studs its feet into place right at the bottom there. You can see some control details at the very top. And also, just looking here, you can get an idea of how some of the front panel connections work as well. Jumping on back to the comparisons, we've got a shot of Lewis's latest custom AAT, the older one from 3 years ago, and the latest Lego set. Personally, my head is so wrapped up in custom builds for years now that sometimes I feel like I lose the larger perspective on how new pieces and new approaches can result in amazing improvements. It's awesome to see all of these models together because the attention to more subtle angles and proportions comes into focus a lot easier for me now. These were a blast to put together. Lewis really had the mindset of making this model easier to handle, easier to acquire the parts for, and while he was at it, he made the model look a whole lot more accurate as well. I'm really curious to know what you guys think about this creation, what you think about custom model evolution in general. I can say that it's been deepening my appreciation for the hobby by a huge margin. Not just are the creative juices still very much flowing, but builders are just as inspired as ever to look back at familiar designs with fresh eyes, and here are the results. So anyways, if you did want to get the instructions, you can click that link in the description below. That's brickvault.toys. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what types of creations you'd like to see built in the studio in the future. If you enjoy our content, feel free to like, subscribe, comment, share, do whatever it is that you want to do, and we'll see you next time at BrickVault.